Let's talk about some of the awesome manga coming out in April of 2025. Welcome to the Manga Buyer's Guide for April of 2025. Apologies for putting this one out in the middle of the month rather than at the beginning of the month. I'm going to be completely honest, I just got really absorbed into reading recently, which is a great thing when your channel is all about manga and recommending manga to people. But if you follow me over on Twitter at OmniCollector or watch the live streams that I do over on the Omnibus Collectors Network, you might recall me talking about going through my my backlog, my to-read pile, whatever you want to call it. At the beginning of the year, when I really started to try and get caught up, I had like about 150 books on that shelf. So since then, I've been not just clearing those off, but keeping up with weekly new releases as I get them each week. And I finally, at the beginning of April, was in the last like 25 to 30 volumes, and I decided, you know what, I'm having such a good stride with my reading right now. I'm just gonna push through, delay the video, because once I get past all of this, I'll have a lot more freedom and I guess mental capacity really to do more videos. So here we are. Hopefully, knock on wood, I can go back to doing haul videos now, because I've mentioned in the past I prefer to have read the books in my haul videos before I do them. And as well as the haul videos, finally doing the much awaited library tour. There's just one more thing that I need to do for the library before I do the tour video, which does take a little bit of a monetary investment. So hopefully I'll be able to do that soon, but that'll be coming. Anyway, before we talk about all the new manga from April, all the really cool stuff coming, I do want to mention real quick that I don't go over every single book on the release calendar that's coming out throughout the month. That is a lot of material that comes out every single week and every single month. Instead, these videos, these buyer's guides, are always focused on the new debuting titles. So new volume ones, new single volume releases, and I also do like to cover the final volumes that are coming out each month. The reason for this is because I'm trying to focus mostly on introducing readers like yourself to something that you may miss out on, because there are so many new titles that come out every single week, and it's really easy to just miss something that could be your next favorite. You know, volume 2s and beyond, if you're following a series, you usually know when there's a new volume coming out, so that's why I like to focus on those first volumes, so hopefully to introduce people to something that could be their new favorite. Now, let's get on into it and look at the stuff that's come out on the 1st of April, starting with one from Viz Media in the Shoujo Beat line, Pink Candy Kiss from Ami Ozumi. This is an ongoing shoujo title right now. It's a drama series about Takara and Emma, who were best friends in middle school and once almost shared a kiss. Now 20 years later, they've reunited, with Emma now married, but Takara can't help but feel there's something there between them. This was a good debut volume, so if you're looking for a good drama series to pick up, definitely grab this one from Shoujo Beat and Viz. Moving over to Kodansha, we had the Dashing Zaddy and his icy protege. I asked a translator friend of mine, and they said that Dashing Zaddy, using the word Zaddy, was actually a really good translation and localization of the actual original title. So I just thought it was funny using, it's always funny to see like English slang used, so I was curious about that. At age 40, Takanashi is in the prime of his life, heading up a high-performing sales team and driving all the ladies crazy. Yet he turns them all down because he has trouble performing in the bedroom. What will he do when a rising star in his team finds out his secret? Then from Yen Press, we have The Anemone Feels the Heat Volume 1, ongoing seinen romance title. Despite wanting to hate her, Nagisa vows to be friendly with her sickly new classmate Mashiro, who caused her to screw up on the entrance exam to the high school she wanted to be enrolled to. Moving on over to Seven Seas in the first week, they had released The Long Summer of August 31st. This is a time loop story from the creator of I'm Not Meat, which was a short little rom-com type series, slightly spicy, that I really enjoyed. So if you haven't checked that one out yet, I recommend it. This one's about a young man who has vowed to lose his virginity during summer break and is forced to keep reliving August 31st until he fulfills that goal. Next up from Seven Seas, as part of the steamship line, the trapped former villainess wants to escape from the sadistic prince. When an office worker is reincarnated into a game as the villainess, she finds herself at the mercy of a sadistic prince. Will she succumb to his will, or can she escape her fate? Also from Seven Seas, we have Versus Love from Chise Ogawa. Two schools alike in dignity in fair Japan, where we set our scene. A boys' love take on Romeo and Juliet between rival delinquents and their gangs, from the creator of Blood Night Market, which was actually just recently released from Seven Seas as well. Moving on over to Titan, we've got a new title, The Godless World of Oni-chan, Volume 1. This is a spin-off of Working for God in a Godless World. A god-tier strong sister transported to a world without religion. Can her strength help her find her younger brother? And then from Webtoon Unscrolled, we have Viral Hit Volume 1. From the creator of Lookism, Hoban Yu is a scrawny high school student tormented by bullies and working a part-time job to pay his medical expenses. Or his mother's medical expenses, I believe it was. But when he accidentally uploads a video of a fight with his classmate, it goes viral, making him think there may be a solution to his bully and money problems. Now moving over to Tuttle, we've got Tales of the Kyoto Ghost Story Priest, true horror stories from Japan. This includes 11 horrifying true stories, such as Broken Mirrors, The Monster of Funaoka Mountain, Kokeshi Doll Mother, and The Smell of Impending Death, as well as 7 other chilling tales. So that's all the debuts for the first week. We also had several final volumes from Viz Media, the third and final volume of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Shining Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak, just in time for the first volume of Steel Ball Run next month, and the announcement of the anime that just happened recently this month, which we all knew it was happening, but it was good to get the confirmation. The final volume of Moriarty the Patriot, Volume 19. This is apparently the end of Part 1 of Moriarty the Patriot, but aside from a novel adaptation, which I think was just 3 volumes, I don't believe that Part 2 of this manga has actually started being published. Then Volume 6 of I'm Not a Succubus, and Sweet Room Escape Volume 2, both from Seven Seas, and then from Tuttle, Haruki Murakami Manga Stories Volume 3. This is the third and final hardcover of a manga adaptations of Murakami's stories. Now let's move on to titles released on the 8th of April, starting out with Kaiju number 8 B-Side Volume 1. This is the first of a 2-volume spin-off series focusing on fan-favorite characters from the hit title Kaiju number 8. So fans of Kaiju number 8, you'll want to pick up this one so you can get a little bit more out of that world and out of some of your favorite characters. And Viz also licensed recently the other spin-off series, which we're going to have coming later in the year, I believe, towards the end of the year. Also from Viz, Disney Twisted Wonderland, the manga book of Savannah Claw Volume 1. This is the second series after the Heartslebule, I don't know how that's pronounced, 4-volume series. I think this one's still going on in Japan. But it is named for the Savannah Claw dorm inspired by Scar from The Lion King. I really don't know anything about Disney Twisted Wonderland, so I can't say much about this one. But the art looks great, and the concept is originally by the creator of Black Butler. So there is that. Next up, Star Wars The High Republic Edge of Balance Premonition. This is a single volume tying into the Edge of Balance series, which is also wrapping up later this month with Volume 4. Focuses on Yoda and promises to tie into that finale. Now moving over to Seven Seas, we've got Tokyo Revengers, the series guide, Remember You. This is a guide for the popular series that compiles material from 3 different books that were previously only released in Japan. It's filled with color artwork, character profiles, and much more. So if you're a fan of the series, this is a great way to keep up with all the various characters the various gangs, because there are a lot of characters and a lot of gangs in the series, so it can get a little bit confusing. Or if you're a fan that's just getting into the series, this would be a great guide to have as you're reading along. Seduced by the Demon King, A Sensual Rebirth, Volume 1 from Seven Seas as part of the Steamship line. A woman in a dead-end life meets a demon who claims that she is his sworn enemy from a past life. To exact his revenge, he will put her through an ultimate ecstasy before ultimately plunging her into a pit of despair. Then from Square Enix, we have a new debut, the God-slaying Demon King. The strongest Demon King in history returns from the dead and embarks on a grand adventure to find the god of all demons and kill him. I read this one a little while ago, and if you're looking for just a straight-up action series, this is going to be exactly what you want. It's got decent artwork and a lot of really cool action throughout. Then from Sublime, Ask and You Will Receive Volume 1, BL series about Shinobu, an unassuming office worker who is a playboy after hours, and Hikaru, the Prince of Sales, who starts invading his favorite after hours spot, a local gay bar. And a couple of final volumes came out on the 8th, Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie, Volume 20, and the third and final omnibus of Tomo-chan is a Girl, collecting Volumes 7 and 8. Moving on to books from the 15th of April, starting off with a huge one of the most anticipated releases, I'm sure, of this month and of this year, is The Climber, from the creator of Innocent and DRCL Midnight Children, Shinichi Sakamoto. This series, which he doesn't write the series, at least not at first, but it has his incredibly beautiful artwork. So if you're a fan of either DRCL or Innocent, you'll definitely want to pick this one up. And I know this is one of the most requested titles for a very long time. So when it did get announced, it was something that definitely made waves across the manga community. And it is being collected across a series of 8 or 9, I'm not 100% sure, 8 or 9 oversized omnibus editions. It follows Buntaro Mori, a loner who's introduced to the rush of solo climbing and becomes addicted to the freedom he finds when he pits his body and soul against the heights. So I'm very much looking forward to this one. I know a lot of people are, so this is probably my pick of the month, if anything. But this next release is another huge one, coming from Seven Seas, the much-anticipated Jean Bride. This is a josei drama series about Ichi, who is constantly underestimated at work due to her gender and sexually harassed as well, so she's decided that she is done with men. However, a former middle school classmate shows up and reminds her of an experiment they did in junior high called Jean Bride, where students were matched into couples for a day based on genetic information. This sudden reappearance changes everything for Ichi and starts to unleash buried secrets. This one ended in the middle of last year, so it's only like 4 or 5 volumes long, so not a huge commitment, but it is a highly praised josei series, so I'm excited to pick this one up, and I know a lot of people out there are going to really like it as well. Next up from Seven Seas is Mi-chan Wants to Be Kept, Volume 1. An overworked grocery manager who has lost his cat rescues a stray on his way home one night, but when he wakes up the next morning, he finds that the cat has become a young woman who is hiding a big secret. Then also from Seven Seas is Punk's Triangle. This is a single volume BL. A young designer dreams of creating a look for his favorite model and finally gets his chance unless his class partner screws things up. A boys love rom-com about fanboys and hidden identities. Moving on to one this month from Animate International, Love and the Highly Sensitive Person. This one's about a hairstylist who sends his dull scissors to a sharpener who he finds who looks to meet his needs. But when he comes to bring the scissors to him in person one day, the sharpener doesn't match the image portrayed in his letters at all. Moving on to Tokyo Pop as part of the Love Love line is The Little Bird Sleeps by the Sea. This heartfelt, emotional boys love one-shot explores themes of healing from trauma, grief, and family, both by blood and by choice. A beautiful tearjerker with immersive atmospheric art from prolific BL creator Yu Minaduki. And one final volume for the 15th was the aforementioned Star Wars High Republic Edge of Balance Volume 4. So in total, that series has 4 volumes, plus there were 2 tie-in single volumes. So 6 volumes in total, making it definitely Viz Media's longest Star Wars release thus far. Now moving into titles coming out on the 22nd. This is the biggest week of the month with a ton of new releases coming from Yen Press in particular. Usually Yen Press populates one particular week each month, and this time it's the 22nd. Starting off though with a anticipated release from Shuzo Oshimi, creator of Blood on the Tracks and Flowers of Evil, is Toxic Daughter Chi-chan, which is a prologue to Eisuke Naito's horror film Toxic Daughter, which released last year. The story follows friends Yua and Kodai, who decide to save their delinquent classmate Chi, only to find themselves sinking deeper and deeper into the darkness that seems to haunt everything she touches. I have not watched this movie, but I love Shuzo Oshimi myself, so I'm going to be picking this one up either way, and I'm hoping that it will be good enough to inspire me to check that movie out, and hopefully it's not hard to find it to watch somewhere online or finding a copy of it for myself. Moving on to Bocchi the Rock side story Kikuri Hiroi's Heavy Drinking Diary Volume 1. So this is a spin-off series of Bocchi the Rock that is focused on Sick Hack's genius bassist and her personal life. This one is not a 4-Koma series, so if you're not into 4-Koma, which the 4-panel comedy like the original Bocchi the Rock series is, you might find this one more interesting. You might wind up enjoying this one. I know a lot of people like the anime, but aren't really huge on the 4-Koma, so they're not big on the manga, but this one might be enticing otherwise. Moving on, Reincarnation Coliseum Volume 1. High school gamer Koji is summoned to another world full of magic and beautiful women, and he's received a copy skill from a goddess, but he's also been forced to fight as a gladiator slave in a coliseum where the losers are bred by the winners. So it is a harem series. Moving on, we have Spy Classroom Second Period, Daughter Dearest Volume 1. With the killer virus successfully retrieved from the Galgad Empire, the girls are ready to go on even more missions. The only problem is, Klaus refuses to take them on any. Can these fledgling spies prove their skills once again and face the new evil lurking in the shadows? Next up from Yen is Tamaki and Amane by Fumi Yoshinaga, the creator of Oku. It's a single-volume drama that depicts various forms of love that exist between us. The description that they gave for this was a little bit hard to follow because I think it's supposed to take place at different points in time. However, it wasn't super clear, so I apologize that I can't give a more detailed synopsis for this, but creator alone is enough to make me want to check it out, and probably true for a lot of other people as well. Next up from Yen, we have the 31st Consort Volume 1. Being the lowest ranking consort means living in the shabbiest residence, having the fewest maids, and only meeting the king when the 31st day of the month rolls around. For Felia, that's perfect as she's uninterested in marriage and would much rather tend to her herb garden, until the king finally pays a visit and she finds it may be worth buying for his full attention. Next up, we have a couple from Eyes Press under Yen Press. Lady Devil Volume 1. Giovinetta, known as the Lady Devil after her husband's heart was ripped out on their wedding night, is now betrothed to a much older nobleman. Not wanting to be caged, she pleads to the devil of Dukomen, which will cause her twin brother Johannes to be transformed to a devil himself. And one more from Eyes Press, a very different release. It's a BL series, Lover Boy. Eun Jung has always had feelings for the boy next door, Jae-ha Yu, even when Jae-ha was married to a woman. Now that he's in college, Eun-ho reconnects with Jae-ha and vows to do anything to make the recent divorcee his lover, even if Jae-ha has only ever seen him as a cute and annoying kid. Moving on, we've got one coming from Seven Seas as part of the steamship line, Virgin Marriage, a maiden voyage into passion's embrace. A newlywed couple discovers the secret to a truly perfect relationship is a good sex life. A brand new steamship title from the author of Loved by Two Fiancés and The Yakuza and His Omega Raw Desire. Then another one from Square Enix, Wash It All Away. This is a slice of life series about a woman who runs a laundry service in a seaside resort town. If you need something that's extremely low stakes and beautifully illustrated, Wash It All Away is probably going to be just that for you. I definitely recommend it if you want something easy to read. Next up from Titan, we have Toxic Super Beasts Volume 1, a kaiju manga that begins with a battle with a 5-headed dragon. I want to take a second right here, and I don't want to falsely accuse the publisher of anything that's not true, but go on to their site or Amazon or Crunchyroll or Barnes & Noble or whatever and look at the full synopsis, the full blurb that they have. It's like 5 or 6 paragraphs, and it reads as if it's written by an AI. And again, I don't want to make the accusation if it's not true, but for some reason, for a little while, you may have already noticed this, a lot of Titan manga's blurbs and descriptions, synopses on their first volumes, on all their debut volumes, have these massive descriptions that are just really awkwardly written because it's telling you stuff like, you know, this series will take the reader along on a journey where this happens. And it's really strange because no one else writes their blurbs that way, and I don't remember Titan doing that in the past. So either I'm right, or they might need to get someone new to write their blurbs, because despite being like 5 or 6 volumes long, I swear it didn't give me much more information about this series aside from the fact that it's about kaiju, which you can obviously tell from just the cover of the manga. Anyway, moving on, from Tokyo Pop as part of the Love Love line, We're Not Cut Out to Be Lovers Volume 1, an auto mechanic moves in next door to a noisy streamer who claims to be an expert on love. He's put up with the noise for 6 months, but eventually snaps and decides to shut him up with a passionate kiss. Then also from Tokyo Pop's Love Love is Fated Not to Meet, single volume I believe. Izumi, the sales ace with excellent grades, good looks, and great communication skills, has someone he absolutely cannot lose to. His name is Sendo, the most unlikable man who took the top spot from Izumi. Then we end the 22nd with They Were 11 from Denpa, which has been delayed multiple times. This is an acclaimed shoujo that people have been very much looking forward to since it was announced, like, I want to say 4 years ago now by Denpa. And it's been delayed so many times, but it looks like this should finally be the month that it's released. Because as they've shown on Twitter and their socials and stuff, they have been receiving the copies of it. They've said that they're going out to stores, so this should be available as of the 22nd, if not soon thereafter. However, they did also mention that because of the costs associated with this, that it may only be a single printing, if not only 2 printings. So if you want a copy, you might want to move on it pretty quickly. I don't mean to FOMO anyone, but it is a pretty popular release, or a pretty, I don't want to say popular, but it's a very much anticipated from a huge creator, Moto Hagio. So I know there's a lot of people who want this, and I don't want you to miss out after having to wait like 4+ years since the announcement. Then some final volumes coming out on the 22nd, the final Your Lie in April Omnibus, 7 Fates Chaco, and Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon Familiar Chronicle episode Freya Volume 5. Now, before we head into the last books of the month coming out on the 29th, I want to give a message from the sponsor of the channel and of this video, Walt's Comic Shop. I talk about Waltz all the time, and I really love working with them, and it seems like a lot of y'all who live out in the EU have really loved ordering from them as well, which is fantastic. It's easy for people here in the US. We have tons of options to shop for manga, comics, etc. But in other areas of the world, there's not nearly as many options that have, you know, great selection, service, prices, etc. But Walt's Comic Shop does that for all of you out there in the EU. So if you happen to be a manga collector and you want to buy your English language manga, I definitely recommend ordering from Walt's Comic Shop based upon not just the countless reviews, positive reviews that they have of their service and everything, but also from the words of you all, the viewers of my videos, who have commented in my videos, comment sections multiple times, how much you've been very pleased with Walt's Comic Shop. So also make sure to use the code TheOmnibusCollector at checkout on your first order of €40 or more, because you can get free shipping within the EU on that first order. So check out Walt's Comic Shop, and let's take a look at the new debut releases from the final week of April, the 29th, starting with Gaiatima, the Gigantus from Kodansha. This is coming from the creator of Colorless, which was published by 7 Seas. I think it wrapped up last year. A gigantic monster returns to the town it ravaged years earlier in this poignant kaiju manga. In the spirit of the classic Godzilla and Godzilla -1, Gayatima combines thunderous action and character drama with the social conscience and thematic complexity of the genre's post-war roots. Very excited. As a huge fan of kaiju media in general, I'm extremely excited to check out Gayatima, and I'm hoping that a lot of y'all are kaiju fans as well, and are looking forward to checking it out too. A Vampire in the Bathhouse is another one coming from Kodansha. This is an all-in-one josei release, a heartwarming and hilarious comedy manga about a hot vampire who just wants to unwind and the family who runs the bathhouse where he crashes. Escape to a world of steam and relaxation and get the blood flowing. Moving on to 7 Seas, we've got Catman, a single volume release, a poignant story that exposes the cognitive bias rampant throughout modern society from the point of view of a man who happens to be a cat. Moving on, we also have Idol Story, Volume 1. This is a new seinen title starting up. Mimi is a part-timer at a convenience store who abandoned her dreams of becoming an idol. That is until she meets rising star Ibuki, who reignites her passion. Together, they decide to audition for an idol competition show. Then here's one that I'm really looking forward to from 7 Seas this month is Kaya-chan Isn't Scary. Kaya-chan is a problem child in her kindergarten who has the ability to see evil spirits and vanquish them with a punch. But she keeps getting in trouble when she's only trying to help. This one has an anime coming out soon as well, so whether checking out the manga or anime, I'm sure that some fans of horror comedy are going to really enjoy this one. Then also from 7 Seas is My New Boss is Goofy Volume 1. Momose Kentaro changes jobs after being constantly bullied by his old boss and hopes his new one won't be as cruel. His worries are quelled when he meets his new manager, who is deadpan, competent, and goofy. Then from One Piece books, we have one new release, Detectives These Days Are Crazy, Volume 1. Nagumo was a great detective, solving impossible cases in no time, but now a decade later, he's just a middle-aged guy so behind the times that he doesn't even know what a smartphone is. But then out of the blue, a high school girl shows up wanting to be his assistant. So it sounds like he gets back into the detective game with this student. And we end the month with one more from Yen Press, To Sir, Without Love, I'm Divorcing You. That's a hilarious title, in my opinion. Bailetta, daughter of a Viscount, is thrown into an arranged marriage. However, before she even meets her husband, he's shipped off to war. This spouseless life is a dream come true for her, but then one day, 8 years later, she receives the news that her husband is set to return from war. Wanting to keep her freedom, she sends him a letter requesting a separation. He agrees under the condition that they must sleep together for a month, every night for a month, and if she does not conceive, he will grant her the divorce. So that wraps up all the new releases, all the new debuts and final volumes for the month of April. There was no final volumes that I found on the 29th, but if I missed anything as far as new debuts and final volumes, let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, please let me know in the comments what you are most looking forward to picking up in April, not just all the stuff that I covered in this video, but also let me know all the other books, all the volume 2s and beyond. Maybe there were some box sets coming out or something that you're looking forward to, or maybe some older books that you're going back to pick up that you missed before. Let me know what you are most excited about this month. Personally, I already harped on about a few of these, but going through the list backwards, Kaya-chan, Gayatima, they were 11, of course. Hoping to get my hands on a copy of that one. The Bocchi the Rock spinoff, the Shuzo Oshimi book. There's a lot of good stuff this month. Gene Bride, of course, The Climber is probably the top of the list for me this month. The Kaiju number 8 spinoff. Anything kaiju related is always a winner in my book. So many great new books coming out throughout April, so let me know what you are most looking forward to. And thank you so much for watching the video. If you were new here, I really appreciate you checking it out. I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button so you'll be notified of all the upcoming videos I put out. If you're not new here, thank you once again for spending time with me. You know how much I appreciate each and every one of you. And fingers crossed, knocking on wood, that now that I have the backlog of new of manga cleared off of my to-read list, that I'll finally get back to making more videos. I don't want to make any promises because every time I do, I don't wind up fulfilling a lot of them as far as content goes, but I'd like to get back to doing the hauls and all that stuff. And I have a big thing that I was wanting to release last week, or not last week, last month, that got pushed into this month, where I'm going to be showing every new license announcement that's come out so far this year. And there are a ton of them, which means there's likely a lot that you may have missed out on, especially from some of the smaller publishers. So look forward to that one. Fingers crossed that'll be the next thing I put out within the next week to 2 weeks or so before April is done. Otherwise, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all whenever I see ya. Peace out.